Good morning, everybody. My name is HJ. I'm part of the Money for Jam team, and welcome to the webinar. As you know, it's quite difficult to talk to machines, so guys, feel welcome to use the comments column and talk to me. I've got Caroline that's going to assist me. Before we start the presentation, there's just one thing I want to say, and that is that everything that we're doing now has changed. We don't walk the same, we don't talk the same. We need to keep our distance. We've got masks on. One of the things that I think that the education department must do is implement how to read body language for kids at school, because you only see eyes and bodies now. So our kids need to learn how to read body language. Okay, having said that, let's start with how to digitize your content. So the first thing we're going to talk about is why we have this webinar, or this webinar, if you want to call it webinar. The purpose is to introduce and provide guidelines, rules, and best practices for people that digitize content. All the communication we send out nowadays is via a platform or social media or some digital instrument that we use. So we can't send pages and pages of information out anymore. So we have to get the core message out, but we have to keep it as short and simple as possible. So that's where we have to get creative. How are we going to get creative? We're going to talk about the 3x3 principle a little bit later on. But I want to start by saying, before you start developing your communication, you need to get a brief. Or a content brief. So the first thing we're going to look at is a content brief. Now, I base this on a training needs analysis because I'm a trainer. However, you can call it a communication needs analysis or whatever you want to call it. We've got two documents that we use where we start creating this whole process, and that's the scoping document and our master document. So I'm just going to give you a quick example of our scoping document. The scoping document is where we get the client's information from, or the client's needs from, what the client needs, the client requirements, is there any material that they've developed, or do we need to develop the material, and then any other general information that I want us to add into the communication that we're going to send out. So that is our scoping document. It's just an example. So we just took a snippet and just to give you some sort of idea what it looks like. The next document is our master document, or our proper needs analysis. This document is very valuable for us because in this document, most of the information is recorded. Your project information, your task information, your micro task information, your script is in here. The content that you digitized is in here. The medium that you're going to use, your pre-assessment, your post-assessment, and obviously then any questionnaires or any checklists that you have. After you've done that, you can start your development. Now, before you start your development, what we have done, and we see that it works actually 100%, is that we start from the bottom up. When we create training, the first thing we do is we create a lesson. A lesson make up a module. Modules will make up a course will make up a curriculum or a learner path, and then obviously a curriculum leads to a possible qualification. The next thing is to decide, when you're going to start your scripting, is to decide what medium you are going to use. Now, like I said to you, we use a bottom-up approach. For me, the medium you're going to use, is it going to be a fact sheet? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be a Q&A? Is very important. And decide on that before you do your scripting, because you do your scripting differently on the different mediums that you use. Next point is you have to script for your audience. Make sure that you target the right audience, script for the right audience, use words that the audience understand, definitions that the audience understand, and make sure that you give them the correct information. The script must focus on the learning outcomes, and I think that's the most important part. That's where the 3x3 principle comes in, is where the script must focus on the learning outcomes. And you know what? Tell a story. People like listening to stories. It's wonderful to listen to read a story. So be creative and write a good story. People that a while ago I did a creative writing course, and you have no idea how much this helped me, because now I can tell a story. Next thing is to script and design your assessment together. This will make sure that you cover your outcomes in your assessment. Cool. So after you've done that, you create your lesson plan. Now, this is an example of my lesson plan. This is my mind map. I work from this. Everything that I'm going to do, I will put on this spreadsheet, the content, the context, the lesson medium I'm going to use, what tasks there's going to be. Is there going to be a method that they complete the tasks? I even put on here, if there's incentivize, how much we're going to incentivize them with, when it will be loaded on, when it's going to be sent out. So this is a valuable document for us. And like I said, this is like a project plan for me. I work from this before I go over to scripting. The next, there's a few questions that you must ask yourself. And I think a good question to ask yourself is, who is your audience? What audience are you targeting? Who are you going to send a message to? Is the message relevant to the audience, to the target audience? Will there be rewards or incentives? Are you going to pay them to do it? Incentives is a very, very good way of ensuring that people complete their training or read their communication. I think at the University of Oxford, they did a study on students that had bursaries and students that didn't have bursaries, and the students that had bursaries outshined the guys that didn't have bursaries. So it's a good thing to pay people to learn. Well, I would like to be paid to learn. You must ensure that you send the correct volume of messages out. You cannot bombard people with messages, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 messages a day, because a lot of people don't have time. Most people don't have time to read it. So space it quite nicely over a week. What we normally do is, in my lesson plan, I will send 3 lessons out a week, 1 a day, sometimes 2 a day, and then I'll skip a day and 2 again, just to make sure that the guys get time to read the message or complete the training. It depends on the communication that you send out. Another point is, how effective is your message? Once again, concentrate on the outcomes. It is what you want the people to know, the end of the day, that matters, and that is your outcomes. When is the right time for the message to go out? That depends totally on you. There's never a right or a wrong time. If the message is important and it must go out immediately, and you want to send a message out to all your staff, you can use a WhatsApp group if you have a WhatsApp group, because a lot of people will read the WhatsApp immediately if it's an urgent message. If it's not that urgent, you can use another tool like email, or if you've got a technology platform like us, you can use the platform. Now, after you've asked yourself these questions, we come to the 3x3 principle. Now, based on research around this a 3x3 principle, our brains can only store 3 aspects or 3 things at a time. Our working mind, our conscious mind. But life consists of 3s. There's birth, life, death. And then there's past, present, future. And then there's yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So everything is in 3s. And I think it's just something that happens that we can remember anything in 3s much easier than a lot of information. So what we normally do is, and I'm going to focus this on training, on a training example, is we take a course, obviously, and then divide it in lessons. If I can refer you back to our lesson plan, we divide it in lessons. And then the lesson we divide in 3 outcomes. The 3 outcomes we divide in 3 sections. And then the 3 sections we divide in 3 key messages. And then you can go on. The key messages can be divided again and again and again. A good example that I can give you is, before I do that, let me just have a drink. A good example I can give you is, say, for instance, you create a course. And the course is about housekeeping. And one of the outcomes is how to make a good cup of coffee. That's your outcome, how to make a good cup of coffee. Now you divide it into 3. First thing, you need equipment. Second thing is you need a method. And the third is, well, it must be a decent cup of coffee. That's the result. So what you do is your three sections here will be, you need a container, you need coffee, and you need water. Okay, 3. Now I can take it even further by saying, I'm going to take the cup, I'm going to divide it into another 3. I need a beaker, a mug, or a cup, and a saucer. Take the water. I need lukewarm water, hot water, or boiling water. And then coffee, different kind of coffees. Filter coffee, Egberts, Nescafe, Big Coffee, all of those kind of coffees. And then you can go even further by adding what type of mug, divided in 3. And you can go on and on and on. And each one can be a lesson. And people will remember the 3s that you send them. Well, your mind remember the 3. So it's easy for them to remember everything in 3s. So that is the 3x3 principle. And we have tested this and it worked. I don't know if you were in the last webinar, but my boss always says, this is the world according to him. And this is the world according to us. And it really, really works. We have seen amazing results by using this 3x3 principle. Now, you have created your course now. You've tested your lesson. You're going to send it out to people now. And obviously, they are doing the lessons. However, even though we can only remember 3 things, we can't remember it for a very long time. So in the old days, when it was traditional training, to get people back into a classroom to do refreshers was extremely difficult and very costly. In a digital world or in a digital platform, it costs you almost nothing. I'm sure you guys are aware of the forgetting curve. After 10 days, you forget so many percentage, and after 20 days, so many percentage, and so on. So if I can phone you in a week's time now, and I can ask you to give me 5 things that you've remembered of this webinar, I'm sure you won't be able to do it. Maybe you'll remember 3 things. Or maybe you'll just remember my voice, or I don't know, but you'll remember something. When it comes to refreshers, what we call spacing, is we normally, after the original training was completed, 10 days afterwards, we send out the same course, the same assessment, the same everything, and see how much knowledge you've retained. Now, that's why refreshers is important. And like I said, with a digital platform, especially like Money for Jam's platform, it's going to cost you nothing to do the space, the refreshers. Okay, now I'm going to show you a few examples of mediums that we use. Now, we use different mediums. We use a moving infographic, a meme, PowerPoints, images, 3Ds, Q&As, fact sheets. A lot of people think that you must only use a certain medium. People like pictures. I like pictures. I want to see pictures. I want to see something move. If something stands still, it just drives me absolutely crazy. So the first example I'm going to show you is a moving infographic. There's no voice to it. It's just it's very text heavy, but at least it's moving. So it's almost like a video that somebody is watching, just with a lot of text on. So just let me get to the videos, and I'm going to play you your first video so you can see. Start video, play video. There we go. It's loading. so that's just one example that I've shown you. Another one is a PowerPoint presentation that we've actually done in a cartoon strip. I think this is also very effective, and we've translated it into another language. Unfortunately, I can't narrate that. Oh, sorry, guys, the video just stopped. But you've got the idea, so let me just see if I can get you another one. This is a full video with voice that we did.
As a business owner, your main aim is to grow your business, make money, and at the same time, support your community, while the community, your customers, support you by buying from you. We at Money for Jam understand this and want to offer you the opportunity to grow your business and increase your profit. By working with Money for Jam, you get access to greater value through our wide range of brands and products, which helps you grow your profit. Remember, we plan to partner with you to find the best value we can to grow your store, build your customer base, and in so you can do your part for your community by supplying them with better value products. What is even more amazing is that ordering stock and getting paid on the Money for Jam app is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Your master jobber is your go-to person and there to support you on this journey. Get on board and be the business you want to be by signing up with Money for Jam, and let's do business together.
Okay, cool. So we're back at the slides. Those were just a few examples of the videos we do. And as you can see, the 3x3 principle comes out very strongly in most of the communication that we've sent. So now you have done your training lesson. Like I said, I'm basing everything on training. The people has completed the training. Now you want to do the evaluation or the assessment afterwards. Now, a lot of training managers and a lot of people do not believe in pre-assessments, only in post-assessments. For me, a pre-assessment is crucial. It's more important than the post-assessment. I'll tell you later. Just a moment, please. I do apologize for that. So a pre-assessment is, like I said, is very, very important. Post-assessment, yes, it's important because you want to determine the amount of understanding and knowledge that was gained whilst they're doing that lesson. But where pre-assessment comes in, where it's so important, is when you do refreshers, what you do to make sure that you that embedded knowledge is happening is you take your pre-assessment of your original training lesson that the user or the student completed and compare it to your first refresher to see how much knowledge was retained. And that's where the pre-assessment is so very, very important. Your pre-assessment and post-assessment can be the same. So always good to compare your pre and post-assessments and pre-assessments when it comes to evaluation. Best practices when it comes to evaluation. A while ago, I had a chat with another training manager, and he said to me that your assessments are too easy. And I said to him, why does he say that? He says, you're not trying to catch the learners out. I said, but you're not supposed to catch them out. For me, any evaluation or assessment is continuation of learning. It mustn't confuse the learners. They must keep on learning. You always only assess the objectives or the outcomes because that's the main thing. That's what you want them to know. So go back to the coffee part. The outcome is you want them to make a good cup of coffee, and you only assess. The questions will be, what is your equipment? You need a cup, you need water, you need coffee. Your first question. Your second one is, what is the method? You boil the water, you put the coffee in the cup, and then you boil the water on the coffee. That's your second outcome, or the outcome or the objective that you want to assess. Use multiple tools. True and false is great. Multiple choice is great, but a lot of guys just guess. There is hundreds of ways that you can test by drag and drop, stacking from most, like building a hamburger. I always use that example. If I want to teach somebody to use a hamburger, I will give him the bun, and I will give him the patty, and I'll give him the salad to put on tomatoes or whatever, and I'll ask them to build a hamburger for me. Start with a patty. What's the next thing you put on? What's the next thing you put on? So that's also a very nice way of assessing people. And do not try to catch the learner out. And I can't stress that enough, because well, actually, you're not supposed to do that according to the CETA rules anyway. But assessing people, continuation of learning. Kinesthetic assessment is a very, very good way of assessing a course. Example of a kinesthetic assessment is, you've teach this guy now to make a cup of coffee, and you say to him, all right, fine. Now I want you to make a video where you make a cup of coffee. I want to see that you can make a cup of coffee. And I'll even go as far as to tell the guy to drink it. So to see if it tastes nice or not. So that's just another way to test it. Kinesthetic assessments, a big favorite of mine. Okay, now the next thing is the reporting. You have to report on, well, anything you do. That's what corporate life is all about. So your reporting, when you report, it must be a simple report. It must, the data must be turned into intelligence. You can't just collect the data and do nothing with it. Training manager will say to you, or the only thing a training manager wants to know at the end of the year is, how many people I've trained this year and how much did it cost me? Because I want to submit my annual training report, and that's the only information I'm interested in. You can't send a report like that to the CEO. You need to give them more information. So you need to add more data to it. Also in such a way, a simple way, if I say simple way, it's an easy way to understand. Use charts and graphs. Use a program, a report program that is easy or user-friendly, that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to analyze the data. And then also very important is to, if you send out weekly reports, monthly reports, make sure that you update your reports. Or if you've got a system that updates it automatically, even better. So collecting data is a wonderful thing, but what to do with that data afterwards? A lot of companies just collect data, and there the data sits. It will cost them sometimes thousands of rands to collect the data, and then they can't do anything with it. So a nice example again, what can a training manager do with the data that you send him? They can get the rebate, the tax rebate, when they submit the annual training report. Just one last thing before we close down is pitfalls. If your planning starts poorly, you are going to fail. And trust me, I've been through this so many times. Every time my planning is not correct, I have to start again. Prepare yourself. Planning is where I use my two documents, my scoping document and my master document. My preparation is where I use my lesson plan, communication plan, whatever you want to call it. That's where my preparation starts. Then obviously when you create your content or your medium, there mustn't be too many distractions. It's wonderful to see this beautiful cartoon and butterflies and little angels flying all over the place, and it makes it pretty and so on. But it sometimes distracts the learner or the watcher from the actual message. So make sure it's clean cut, make it plain, make it simple, use words people understand, and make sure that your message is effective. If it's ineffective, you're going to fail. It must be an effective message. What is an effective message? Once again, go back. It is your 3x3 your outcomes or your objectives. That is an effective message, the message that you want to bring through to the people that's your audience. Too much information per medium is also a big thing. A while ago, our boss gave us this challenge, and he says to us, I want you, and David is our guru that does all the videos. He said to us, I want you to make a video on fire extinguishers without you using text or words or audio. So we had to make this video, and we came up with just pictures. And you know the old saying, a picture tells 1,000 stories or whatever. It worked, and we did that for him. There was only sounds like an alarm going off, and you could hear the fire crackle and so on. But we made the video, and it's possible to make a video without using text and only pictures. So that's where creativeness comes in, and everybody is creative. Everybody's got a creative side. Anybody that sends out communication must be creative, especially now when it comes to the digital era. And I don't know if I said this before, and don't quote me, but I think we are even moving into a 5th industrial revolution now. It's forced past, because we do everything we do differently. And like I say, don't quote me, please. Another pitfall is if you do not address the crucial points, the outcomes. Once again, I'm emphasizing that. And another pitfall is if you don't test your material before it goes out to your audience. What we normally do is we've got an internal test group and an external test group. So when we create any video or medium fact sheet, we send it out to the internal test group. They test for certain things like look, feel, if it's according to the company, CI, and then the external group will test like understanding, etc., for us. So that's it. That's how to digitize training very shortly. Obviously, this is just an introduction to it. You guys are most welcome to contact me on that number if you want more information. So we only got times now for a few questions, if there's anybody that chatted to me while I was here. So let's see. Georgie Mitchell asked a question. Do you have to incentivize in cash? Can you use other methods? You don't have to incentivize in cash. You can use days off. You can give them lunch. Spend a day with the CEO. Get a half day off. That was one of the questions. I hope that understands it. Then another question you asked, what is ISBN? ISBN is International Standard Book Number. I've written a handbook on how to digitize your content, and unfortunately the ISBN number just slipped in here. Sorry about that. Okay, so I don't seem that everybody else had any questions. Guys, I hope you have a great day and a lovely long weekend for those that's going to take a long weekend. Our next seminar will be on the 8th of October. And what we're going to talk about, I'll host a webinar again. We're going to talk about the Money for Jam platform specifically, and how it is, it's compliant to the CETAs. We went through with the CETAs, and as we'll show you on your next on the next presentation. I think you have to join, guys, especially if it's a training company that you can use and train your staff, and how our platform can assist you. Like I said, have a wonderful day. God bless. We'll speak again. Bye-bye.